Seems like right now what the world needs is a joke. Hey everyone, and welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Joker, Folie à Deux. This is a movie that has gotten a lot of hate. It has gotten a lot of hate, a lot of criticism, a lot of people saying, oh, it wasn't necessary. Apparently, there's something with the ending. I don't know what. Luckily, I have not been spoiled on that, but there's something about the ending that people don't like. So that's going to be interesting to see what that amounts to. Um, but yeah, apparently people didn't really like this for one reason or another. I don't entirely know what those reasons were, for the most part, but I did hear some people just say it was boring, which, mind you, from not even just from the trailers, but from the concept and just the fact that this is a sequel to the first, I don't see how this could be boring. But maybe that's just me. Uh, a lot of people I know, even before it came out, were like upset over the fact that, the portrayal of the character of Harley Quinn is going to be different. Because people are like that. They can't handle characters being portrayed differently than how they're originally portrayed. They can't handle different interpretations of characters, and it's always confused me. It's like, why? Especially when you're talking about comic book characters, when these characters are reinvented constantly in the comics. Like, there's no one version of Superman. So why do people complain about Henry Cavill's Man of Steel Superman? It's like, he's just as accurate of a portrayal as Christopher Reeves or as anyone else. It's like, because Superman has been reinvented many times in the comics, all of them are accurate portrayals. And on top of that, it's like, I just don't understand that kind of complaint. It's like, you want to see the same movie over and over again? Because I don't. I want to see things done differently. I want to see things reinterpreted. I want to see a director's vision of these characters. And in terms of the first Joker movie, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really good. Like, yeah, Arthur Fleck is nothing like the Joker of the comics for the most part. Very different from the standard Joker you think of. Very different from, like, Batman the Animated Series or um, Joker from, like, the Golden Age or whatever. But here's the thing. So was Heath Ledger's. Heath Ledger's Joker was exceptionally different, but people don't hate on that. And every Joker has been notably different. Every live action Joker, every animated Joker. And it's like, I feel like people just like to complain. So when they're like talking about before this movie came out, like, oh, Harley Quinn's going to be very different. It's not going to be the Harley Quinn you know. She's not going to be as goofy and silly and everything. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't expect her to be. One, that wouldn't really work for this universe that was set up with the first movie. And two, like, that really wouldn't work in live action. Like, the Harley we see, the Harley we think of, with like Arlene Sorkin's performance in the animated series, wouldn't entirely work in live action. Even Margot Robbie's version of her in Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey and everything is very different than that. Like, yeah, it's closer to that, but it's still also very different because it has to be. It can't be exactly the same because the way she's portrayed in animation won't work for live action. When you adapt something from the medium of animation to live action, you have to change things because people in animation do not act like real people in any way. Because animation is such a vibrant, malleable medium, you're able to get away with a lot more in terms of movement, in terms of personality and character. that you can't get across properly in live action. And if you even tried, it would just come across as forced and like unbelievably unlikable. It just wouldn't work properly. So like even with Margot Robbie's interpretation, they had to make it more grounded. And they've had to do and with this version, they took the character and did a completely different take on him. And they're going to do the same thing with Harley. And apparently her name is slightly different. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. And I expect that. Now, this movie's also supposedly a jukebox musical. And I've heard some people complain that it's a jukebox musical and doesn't have like its own original songs, and I don't care about that. It's like, honestly, with the fact that you have Lady Gaga in here, and with how this is how the first movie went and everything, it's like a jukebox musical makes more sense. I feel like it works better. All of the trailers that I saw, and I maybe saw like two of them, looked good. I liked how it all looked. I liked the costumes. I liked just it got me excited. This movie genuinely looks good to me from the outset. Now, it can happen where a movie looks good and completely disappointed. It disappoints you when you watch it. That does happen. But I'm going to go in with a positive attitude here. Because, again, I really loved the first movie. I thought it was fantastic. And I have a lot of faith that this one's going to be fantastic. And I mean, hey, Quentin Tarantino fucking loves it. He's actually gotten a lot of hate for saying he loves it. And he's basically just been saying, yeah, well, fuck you. Who gives a shit what you think? I don't give a shit what you think. I love this movie. Quentin Tarantino is weird at times, but I like that he just doesn't take shit from anybody, and he's just like, if I love it, I love it. Deal with it. um, but yeah, we're gonna get into this. This is a donation reward for Venom, so thank you for donating, Venom. And I'm hoping to love this. I'm hoping that this ends up being just as good, if not better, than the first. I wonder, I actually haven't heard, is Zazie Beetz' character in this at all? I feel like she probably wouldn't be. I feel like she probably wouldn't be back from the first movie, but I mean, I don't know for sure. She might be in here, even if it's just a small role. But yeah, let's get this started, see what this movie has in store. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West on Mondays and Fridays, Tuesdays and Thursdays is Life is Strange, Wednesdays and Sundays is Red Dead Redemption 2, and on Saturdays we have Nier Automata. A lot of great gaming content every day. Don't forget to click the link in the description below to follow it to today's reaction. I redirect everything just due to copyright reasons. And please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you want to see more awesome content such as this. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So apparently, and I want to look at this real quick with VLC on full screen, because I was watching it obviously in the on OBS, but apparently Harvey's face after the car bomb went off was scarred. Okay, I went a little too far there. I want to try to see that here. Okay, I have it muted, so obviously no copyright issues will occur. But I have it like, I have the actual VLC media player up now. I just have to get to the exact point. So give it a second. It's going to pan over right here to Harvey. Yeah, I mean, kind of, I guess. it's like kind of scarred, but not like what you imagine with typical Two-Face scarring. So I guess that's why I didn't think much of it, why I didn't notice it as much. Because it doesn't really look like Two-Face per se. You know what I mean? Um, and I also wanted to look up a couple things in between because there is, with that ending. So I mentioned in the pre thoughts how I had heard that people didn't like the ending, and I didn't know what the ending was, obviously, so I couldn't say. But now that I've seen it, now I know the ending. I I like the ending. Like, did people not like it? Did they just not understand it, or did they feel let down by the reveal that Arthur was never the Joker that we know, then that he was never meant to be? Is that why they didn't like it? Because, and I looked this up because I wanted to see if this was the intent, and I saw an interview from Todd Phillips, and it is confirmed this was the intent. Um, Arthur Fleck is a proto Joker, and this is not the first time this has been done. The Gotham series did this too, where it's like, this is not the Joker you know. This is not the Joker who fights Batman because, age and timeline wise, that just couldn't work. That couldn't make sense. Um, Instead, this is a proto Joker, someone who inspires the actual eventual Joker, who is very much implied to be this inmate at the end. Who, by the way, at first I was thinking was Ricky, but no, Ricky was killed before. Ricky was strangled and killed by the one guard, played by Brendan Gleeson, who I didn't, by the way, realize was Brendan Gleeson while watching. I found that out while looking at credits and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, that was Brendan Gleeson. Oh shit, I somehow just didn't connect that in my head. But I'm fine with this kind of being that kind of story, though. I'm sure people have questioned. Okay, so if this is not the origin story for the Joker that we know, and the guy we see at the end is the actual Joker that we're more accustomed to, the one who carves into his face and all. Um, I guess very Heath Ledger inspired in regards to that. Um, then is this the actual Harvey Dent Two Face? Because if he gets the face scars and everything here from the car bomb, it is Harvey Dent, like Assistant District Attorney Harvey Dent. That would mean in this universe, his backstory and a lot of things are just different. But we saw like Bruce Wayne in the first movie, right? And Harvey Dent is clearly pretty young here. He could still be Two-Face facing down Batman in the future. It's just like Joker's like twice Harvey Dent's age in this. He would be like geriatric by the time he would actually fight Batman. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't make sense on that regard. But Two-Face could still happen. Just his origin wouldn't happen at the same time as Batman existing. That would be the big difference. And of course, the specific origin for Two-Face being a little different. But that's changed a number of times. That's not a big deal. So, I liked the ending. I thought the ending was good. I honestly, while I didn't see it coming, I thought like it makes sense. Like looking back on it, it just makes sense. And I mean, you could even maybe say that Harley eventually finds the actual Joker. And because she sees that he's taken on the personality that she did grow to love, the kind of persona, the kind of character, she would attach herself to him in the future. Um, Though again, this isn't like canon to any other previous universe or anything, but still, it's it still could work. There's nothing about this that would like say that it's impossible to still work out, like in terms of context, in terms of lore and whatnot. Um, I did mention during the reaction about the idea of Arthur dying in the end. It's not That's not something that surprised me, honestly, because again, I had already heard that there were no plans to make a third one, and it definitely makes sense now, unless they did the third one about this next guy, the other Joker. Then it just, yeah, because Arthur's dead. We literally saw him die. You saw the dead, lifeless expression. He died. Um, but moving on to the rest of the movie. So this didn't quite go how I thought it was going to go. See, I thought he was going to escape and he and Harley were going to actually do stuff outside of the courts and everything and the prison. But no, that never actually happened. He escaped at the very end and he was out for like I mean, for him it was probably a couple hours, but for us, for the runtime, it's like probably what, 15, 20 minutes max. I don't even think it was that long. Um, but no, this movie was more of a courtroom drama, taking place mostly in the prison and the courtroom, which I'm all good with because I like courtroom dramas. My favorite movie of all time is a courtroom drama, 12 Angry Men. So I am all good with this being a courtroom drama. Um, and I looked up, like, I guess some of the things that people have been saying about this. People were saying, like, oh, it's boring. They don't think the story has much going on for it. The story itself is just weak, and stuff like that. And it's like, did I watch the same movie? Because this was fun. Like, I had a blast with this. It was an enjoyable movie with a lot of fun, a lot of what's the word? A lot of entertainment, I guess that works, but a lot of high energy. And I mean, yes, it does start off slower. It takes a little bit to really get going, but that makes sense. Arthur had become broken and lifeless, and so it makes sense that eventually he would that he would kind of just break down and become very unrespondent for the most case, and until he meets Harley. Her energy, her vibes wakes him up in a way. And I really like that idea. I like the concept and how it was handled. And I like where it eventually went to. I like how it kept growing and crescendoing and just hitting those high notes as it went on. It got wackier and wackier, but then after Ricky died, and I definitely think this was the reason, more so than Gary's testimony, though I think that definitely like kick-started it. So after Gary's story kick-started it, but then especially after Ricky died, and because Ricky had gotten kind of close to Arthur, they had gotten kind of close in prison, and Ricky was like this young kid who was, who followed him and looked up to him. And so when Ricky stood up for him and then was, violently and needlessly murdered by the guard, yeah, that probably fucked him up. Not to mention he was, beaten within an inch of his life. And from what I'm seeing, some people are thinking that, like, when he was, like, brought into the showers or whatever, he might have also been raped. And the thing is, there's not really evidence to support that. It's like all we really saw and heard was that he was being beaten. So it's like I'm seeing it as he was just beaten extremely badly. But either way, it's like all of that kind of converged together and made him lose hope again. It made, even with Harley still at that time being by his side, he lost hope, he lost faith, he lost he lost his will. And so he went into court and he told them that. He told them, it's like, I'm just Arthur Fleck. And I'm not the Joker. The Joker's a fantasy, doesn't exist. And yeah, it led to what happened at the end with everything. And it led to Harley leaving and all. And kind of the question with the first movie was whether or not things that were happening were real. That wasn't a question this time. The unreliable narrator, unreliable point of view kind of concept of the first movie did not carry over here. Instead, this movie tackled more on the mental state of Arthur. Tackling, like, oh, is he really the Joker, or is that just... Is it like an alternate personality, dissociative identity disorder, DID? Is it another personality, or is it Arthur just having snapped, having gone crazy, having, just become bad? And that's kind of more the question of this film. And so you're watching throughout it, and they're arguing back and forth. You have his initial lawyer arguing that it's DID. You have Harvey and the state arguing that no, he's just crazy. He's just a bad guy, but he's fully aware of what he's doing and all. And you hear the arguments, and that's what you're wondering this entire film. Instead of if it's real or not, if the Joker is real or not. If this is a personality that exists, or if it's just something that Arthur is using as a crutch. And by the end, it does answer that question. With him confessing to everything, it is made clear that it's not some alternate personality. It was just him. And various things led to that, sure. We hear about the various things, the abuse he grew up with, the sexual assault and everything, the way he's treated by society, his actual mental illnesses. And this is the things that did lead him to snap. And yeah, those bullies on the subway, the ones who were attacking him and everything and just harassing him, yeah, that definitely led to him like losing his mind and starting to hurt people. He killed them. He killed his mother. He killed the one guy in the apartment. I don't remember the name right now. But the one guy he and Gary knew and everything, who was also, mind you, harassing him, who was not a good guy either. And of course, he killed Murray. And there's also kind of this theme in this movie, and it was from the first movie too, but it's especially notable here, about like kind of this glamorization of criminals. And how a lot of times these criminals, these killers, are put on a pedestal by people for one reason or another. And like a lot of people will try to excuse the murders and everything, say things like, oh, but this person only killed like terrible, evil people. And it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but he still killed people. It's like, yeah, these people were pieces of shit. Maybe even they deserve to die. But that does not give us as other people the right to do that. You know? I mean, it's a tough question and a tough like argument to make when it's like, how evil does a person have to be to not only deserve death, but to deserve to be killed like by just someone and not be seen as just, senseless murder. and my kind of like, I guess, point for that is like, are they a fucking Nazi? Because if they're a fucking Nazi, they've waived all rights to any kind of sympathy from me. I don't give a shit. If someone kills them, they're a hero in my book. It's like, if they're a fucking Nazi, yeah, they can go. But it's like, okay, some people who are just like bullies or whatnot, who are just kind of terrible pieces of shit, it's like, what they have to like go really far for it to start to become okay. And I don't think that, like Murray, for example, deserved it for just, bring Arthur onto the show to make fun of him and stuff. It's like, no, he didn't deserve to get shot in the head on live TV for that. It's like, yeah, he deserved to get called out. And yeah, it was fucked up, but not that fucked up. And so you have to kind of question. And it's just a matter of like, what is this saying about our society when we kind of glamorize and put on a pedestal people who just, for the slightest reason, will kill someone? And I mean, you see all the time, like, people almost worship a lot of these famous serial killers, especially when we get all these um, news stories and movies and shows about them. And people, like, will go, like, crazy over it. It's like, this is just fucking weird. It's so uncomfortable. And this movie definitely tackles that a bit. And again, the first movie did too, to a degree, but this one really makes it feel like even more so with Harley, being that kind of character, being an obsessed fan who's obsessed with this image of this, in her eyes and in many people's eyes in Gotham here, this righteous killer who's taken out people, like, who's putting down the lower class and making fun of people, bring them on just to make fun of them, etc., etc. And it's like, that's kind of what it's trying to say. It's trying to touch on society's view of killers. Because even with the end, like, after Arthur, like, walks out of the courthouse and everything, he's rescued by this dude who's dressed exactly like him. The face paint's exactly the same. The suit is exactly the same. And it's, like, kind of creepy. It's kind of weird. It's like, why is this dude, like, idolizing him this much? It's a little weird, right? And that's the point. It's fucking weird, and you're supposed to see it as weird. You're not supposed to be comfortable by it. That these are more of the kind of themes that this movie goes for over the first. And of course, we do touch on the stuff like mental illness and whatnot, which the first very much touched on. And we even brought back characters and stuff from the first movie, and got to really touch more on their perspectives from it, from the events that occurred. And yeah, I really, really like how this was done. It went to a different focus. It went to different themes, but it still executed them, I think, just as well as in the first. Um, I don't think this is as impactful as the first movie was, just because the first one was so new at that time. At this point, it's just like, oh, this is more of what we got in the first, presented in a slightly different way. The jukebox musical part, I don't think was entirely necessary. I think that would be my one big complaint about this movie. The jukebox musical stuff completely could have been done away with. It wasn't necessary. It didn't add anything. It didn't take away anything, like it didn't ruin the film, but it just felt needless. It just felt like you didn't need to do that. And don't get me wrong, obviously Lady Gaga's a phenomenal singer. Joaquin Phoenix has a voice to him. He's not, like, amazing, but he has a voice to him. And it's like, the songs were good picks, good songs, but it didn't really do anything. And I think that's because it wasn't presented, like, as a musical, weirdly enough. The way it was presented, the way the music was integrated into the film, didn't feel like a musical. It felt like they were just the random intercuts of Harley and Joker singing at random times. Um, in some cases dream sequences, and in some cases real life. But it didn't feel like it was presented like a musical. And I think that's what harmed it. If it were presented more like an actual musical, I think it could have worked a little better. But either way, I don't think it needed it. I think that they could have just done away with that. Now, like having the Saints Go Marching In song, they could have still had that in there. Like have that just be the recurring theme with the music and all. Have that continuing on throughout the film. Just that one song would have been better. But that's my only real complaint about this. I thought the acting was fantastic, the writing, the dialogue. I thought it all worked. I liked the themes. I liked the concept. I liked the way it ended. I don't get it. I guess I'm more on Quentin Tarantino's side here. I don't get the hate for this movie. I'm gonna probably check out reviews from like I don't know Jeremy Johns and whatnot on YouTube. Probably check out some other people's thoughts. But yeah, I really liked this. Like genuinely, really liked this. And yeah, I think it's overhated. I think it's one of those movies that are overhated. And just because it's very almost universally hated, that doesn't mean that it's bad either, by the way. It's all subjective and everything. I mean, I liked the 2016 Suicide Squad. I liked Batman v Superman. I liked the original cut of the Justice League. So, I don't have to agree with everyone, and I definitely don't agree with everyone on this one. I also saw some people saying, like, oh, this sequel just wasn't necessary. And I mean, sure, I guess. You could have just left it with the first one and just left it at that. Like, sure. But that's not a critique. I've never understood when people say that, oh, this sequel isn't necessary. Okay, that's not saying anything. You're not actually saying anything with that. Why wasn't it necessary? Why do you think it hurt the first movie? Do you think it's like it does anything like bad or actually is, is poorly conceptualized and shouldn't exist? Explain your actual argument here, because just saying it shouldn't exist isn't an argument, or that it doesn't need to exist, rather. That's not an argument. That's not saying anything. I don't understand. I don't understand. I didn't look up like a huge amount of critiques and stuff on it, just because I wanted to get these afterthoughts before it got like too dark out. It's only 4:30, believe it or not, and it's already getting pretty damn dark because winter, yay. But yeah, it's like I wanted to look up some stuff, and the stuff I looked up, I don't get. I don't get people's complaints with this. This is one of those movies I think is unfairly hated on. But I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You are entitled to think whatever you think about a movie, and I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm not going to try to tell you you're right. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm not going to say anything about that because it's all subjective. If you don't like this movie, fine. You're allowed to not like it. But I'm also allowed to share my opinion. I'm also allowed to say I do like it. In fact, I love it. And I'm allowed to say that I don't understand why other people don't like it. I'm not saying you're not allowed to not like it. I just don't understand why you don't. I don't get it. I don't get the critiques. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see more cool comic book movies in the future. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this movie? Did you not like it? And let me know why. I'd love to hear actual thoughts on why you didn't like it, or if you did like it. Tell me what were some of your favorite parts about it. What did you like about it? Let me know. I'm very much open to hearing differing opinions. I'm not going to call you out for that. You're all good. So let me hear your opinions on this film, and thank you so much for tuning in. As a note, this is going to be the final Sunday film of the year. So next weekend, there won't be a Sunday film because next Saturday is the last day before our winter break. We're going to put up something on the channel called the Princess of Gay Awards, in which I go over the things that I've reacted to and checked out on my own time over the year. and just highlights what my favorites were. When that video is posted on Saturday, there's only going to be one other video posted the entire rest of the year, basically until January 3rd. And that is the final part of the holiday special, which will be on Christmas Eve. But once the Princess of Gay Awards is posted, no other reactions besides the final holiday special will be posted until January 3rd. And as a reminder, January 2nd will technically be our big return, and that will be a live stream on the Princess of Gay Ming channel. We're going to be playing some games on PC, maybe PS5 too, but I can't promise that offhand. We'll see. But yeah, we'll be playing some games for the Princess of Gaming channel live stream on my birthday, January 2nd. That'll be our big return. But yeah, there will be a Saturday movie next week, by the way. It's just there won't be a Sunday one. The Saturday movie will be another Christmas special part. So yeah, just letting you know, if you have any questions, any thoughts on all of that, please feel free to ask. I answer all the comments I need to answer. Whenever you have a question or anything you want to put forth, I always read all the comments any which way. So thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Thank you to Venom for donating for this. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.